Okay. So, I just wanted to emphasize a little bit about what I was talking about in the last video. That the whole spiritual journey is a fiction. It's not real. And that's what I was trying to explain before about when I consider this this channel. It appears to be it's pretend. The whole thing's pretend. It's a fiction. It's not real. But it symbolically represents a reality, which is the whole point, the whole non-idea behind doing these videos. Or I'm sure any other person who documents the non-duality, or what you call it, would say something similar. And I think it's important to understand that, and it was important for me to understand that. And by understanding, I mean like in hindsight, having more clarity. Around that aspect of the fiction of the individual story, and the illusion of the spiritual journey, because it's an illusion that we move through and transform with. And eventually that transformation consumes the story. The story disappears and becomes irrelevant. And yeah, I've consumed, like I said, an enormous amount of teachings and reading and so on, which is why I think, when I explain things, I try and explain things, I borrow language that I've heard that seem to be effective at describing or pointing to this to a degree. But when you realize what these teachings are pointing to, it just completely invalidates all of the words and the concepts and the ideas. Completely invalidates them, and you can see a kind of hidden message in there, let's say, that's not a message that has nothing to do with any of the words or and that's in ourself. It's not out there in information, it's in ourself. And all I can really do is describe things that I found helpful. There was a big division between this internal world that was a reflection, the mind reflection of the external world. And that's an illusion, because when we move our, let's say, attention out from here into the external world. We're moving out into ourselves. We're moving out. We can see it. There's no internal world. Or we could even say there is only an internal world, and this is it, everything that we can perceive. But because there is only that means there's no external or internal. There just is this one seamless reality, let's say. I almost feel like every attempt I make to explain this is an injustice to it, in a way. You almost have to move through and with the words and the ideas, and you're using them as a conduit, let's say, to reveal something that's already here. When it's realised, it becomes obvious what the religious teachings are about, really, and you can see it. You can see it everywhere. It doesn't really matter what the religion is. But with this knowing, again, we use these words in the spiritual teachings, the religious teachings, again, as the same thing as a conduit or a reflection of reality. And then there's a kind of newfound appreciation for religion, what it represents, what it attempts to point to, which has been nice for me, because I'd been very anti-organised religion for a long time. And that resistance has disappeared. I've said this a million times, but it is really the simplest and most, it's like a simultaneously underwhelming anticlimactic, but at the same time intangibly overwhelmingly mind-blowing that the mind can't even go there. The mind will always be disappointed. Anticlimactic when it doesn't have something to hold on to. And I really think it is as simple as learning to love, learning to enjoy, learning to inhabit what we are, as in what people talk about, awareness, being, presence, isness, and so on. Just what's here, without the mind. And that resistance, that attempting to quiet the mind, that goes away when we really see what is mind and what is not. And that takes a bit of time. But when we enjoy it, when we value this, just resting, connecting with what we are, as just existence, as just what is, without the interpretations and fabrications of the mind. Once you get a taste for that, once you get the flavour for that, and you know, and you can connect to that, and you can move into it, move into yourself, and just remain there as much as you enjoy, then reality reveals itself to you until it becomes clear that you are reality and not separate from it, not within it. And then it just deepens, it just deepens. It just reveals itself with more and more clarity and ease and peace. I know why the non-dual teachings are so confusing and so, you know, it's like we're accumulating information to then let it go. But really we're not using these as tools. We're not building anything, we're not constructing anything. We're not really dismantling anything. We're just noticing. We're just noticing, realizing what's already the case. And over time we become better and better at recognizing and then letting go of resistance. Recognizing and then unbinding from thought, from the movements and fictions of the mind. We're recognizing what is suffering and what is experience. And suffering is an interpretation of experience. And recognizing that what is the way it is, and only that, and it couldn't be any other way, obviously. But that illusion, that attempting to control, attempting to change, attempting to move yourself out of what is because it's not satisfactory or not comfortable, so strong for a while. But when it's the thing that you, not that we're doing anything, but when it's the thing that you want to do the most, and I don't really mean about meditation, it comes a point where the distinction between meditating and not meditating doesn't exist anymore. You could say life is just one big meditation, or just what it is, but connecting with that reality that's more real than the fiction of the self, connecting with that, when that becomes being that, knowing yourself to be that, when you really, in your experience, sincerely know yourself beyond a doubt to be that, to be this, to be everything, there comes a point where that's reality is more real than anything else, to the extent that anything else is to take anything else as reality, the mind, the story, the fiction, is so uncomfortable that this becomes your primary hobby, that you're, you know, you look forward to times in your life, not that you're wishing away the present, but you're you know, you get excited to go out for drinks or go to play sports or whatever, hang out with your friends. That same thing comes when you know you have some time to initially to really connect with this in whatever way you can, in between the things you're doing in your life, and then it just takes over and it's always there. It's constantly you're constantly yourself without any deviation into identification with a fictional narrative for a time, and then when the fictional narrative does start to play out, you're not identified with it, you don't believe in it, you don't think it's real, you don't experience it or feel it or know it to be real. You don't believe this is yours, this is my experience, my individual experience. And then for a time you know that all of this is your single experience. As an experiential subject that expands way beyond the person into everything in our perception, and then gradually that fades away. And like I've been saying constantly recently, there's nothing but the experience, there's nothing but just what is, what there is, what this is, and there's no need to stand back, look at it and pick it apart and say this is that. I like this, I don't like this. This is enjoyable, I hate this, whatever. It really does become so real, so clear. Reality. The fictions of the self become so peripheral, so transparent, that they don't have any reality to them anymore at all. Through that process, we're confronted with the parts of us, once we see this, parts of us that are still solid. They'll come up, they'll be shown to us, they'll appear to be addressed, to be seen through. Like I said with that analogy with the icy window, once it starts melting, the parts that aren't quite transparent, you're like, I need to get that sorted, otherwise I can't see the world for what it is. And it's a clinging, the mind, the ego, you start to feel the how it feels to cling, and you recognise that really easily. It has nothing to do with the specifics or what the mind is focusing on, circumstances, just that you feel the cling, the trying to control that tightness, that contraction. And when we can spot that and recognise it for its non-reality, and whenever that happens, just okay, and it gets better and better, we become better and better at it, until it's just not there anymore. Anyway, probably rambling there, but that'll do for now. Talk to you later.